Hi there, my name is Harrison Hutchin, and I'd like to welcome you all to Game Dissection, my show where I review and analyze the mechanics, gameplay, and narrative that make a game a success or a flop. With me is Dylan Gibbons, helping with the script writing. Now, with that short introduction out of the way, let's jump right into our first game, DayZ. Ah, DayZ, how I love and despise you. I can spend hours wandering around the map looking for loot, then lose it in the time it takes to say, "Don't shoot, I'm friendly." Even by fans, DayZ can be described as a masochistic walking simulator. You can sink hours into exploring and looting, only to suffer some horrible fate at the hands of the game's many dangers. Whether it's at the hands of bandits or a glitchy stairway, your life is always in jeopardy. Then why do so many people play this game? Why did the game make $5.1 million on the launch of the standalone's alpha release? Let's take a look. The longer you play this game, the more solemn and empty you start to realize the world is. The game is specifically designed to give the person a realistic experience of what it would be like to survive a zombie apocalypse, and to simulate scenarios that are legitimately plausible. You'll find no hacking and slashing through hordes of zombies with nothing but a machete in DayZ, nor will you find over-dramatized action scenes where your character can suddenly do things that were impossible to achieve within the mechanics of the game. What you'll find is a robust and surreal wasteland where everything has gone to hell except for you and the few survivors you encounter. With that being said though, and even with the addition of animals and a new town here or there, the game is comprised of a lot of walking. A whole lot of walking. But then something happens. You see a player in the distance, you hear a gunshot, or a horde of zombies has noticed you and are chasing you full tilt. Suddenly, it's on. Your happy-go-lucky scavenging game has turned into a full-blown survival horror experience. And on top of that, because of the scarcity of enemy mobs, it feels that much more intense and vivid. Remember the first hallway in the police station in Resident Evil 2? The one filled to the brim with zombies, and at that point all you have is a handful of bullets to deal with the encounter. Remember how horrifying it was to walk through the door and be greeted with that? DayZ is a lot like that. You'll be challenged into making split decisions of whether to fight or flee, and your very survival will depend on it. You either live to see another day-night cycle, or you die and respawn, furious and bitter. The encounters don't leave much of an in-between, no do it 100 times until you succeed stuff, just instinctual prowess or death. Though the emptiness of the game may seem at a glance like a design flaw, it actually plays a large role in the game's success. All the negative space makes the epic standoffs and shootouts that much more epic with a capital E. Those sparse life or death situations really stand out against the bleak Russian landscape. It also helps to make you forget how much emptiness the game actually has by contrasting the long empty walks with terrifying and grueling encounters. The emptiness of the world creates an anticipation for the unknown, and the unknown is that juicy bit that every survival horror gamer would like to sink their teeth into. The more substance, the better. You find similar traits in the game genre of unfolding or waiting games. The initial emptiness of the game world helps create that anticipation. As Extra Credits puts in their episode The Waiting Game, unfolding games start with the ultra mundane. There's nothing around, nothing to hook you right off the bat. You're not even sure if this is a game worth playing. Then slowly, more and more of that awesomeness the game has to offer is revealed. An excellent example of an unfolding game is the browser game Candy Box. In Candy Box, you start off with a box of candy, and more candy is getting added to the box every second. You only have two options at this point: eat the candy or throw it on the ground. After you've collected a certain number of candies, more options appear. The game continues like this, revealing new features slowly but steadily, and enticing you to continue to see what the next interesting mechanic might be. New mysteries and mechanics accumulate as the game gives you more and more to play with, creating that classic feeling of just a little longer or just one more turn. Though DayZ is clearly different from a browser game about candy, I feel that a lot of the things that make Candy Box engaging also make DayZ such an addicting experience. You start off in the middle of nowhere with no idea what the world has in store and what your character is capable of doing. You wander around, confused and scared, while your hunger slowly increases. And then finally, you found a can of food. But damn, you can't get it open without a can opener. You find a sickle and discover that you can open the can with the blade, but you spill some of the contents. Now that's a realistic and intriguing mechanic. Rarely is this much depth seen in the current mechanics for the zombie game genre, and that's really a shame, I think. You can customize your weapons in zombie games like Dead Island and Dead Rising, but that's pretty common in the hack and slash genre. I mean, I'm sure many of you out there would relish an opportunity to play another game with the same level of depth in the mechanics as, say, Fatal Frame. Or play another Silent Hill game where 3 or 4 enemies, because of your character's limitations, are actually intimidating. But no, for now, in the AAA industry at least, we're stuck with the overglorified, sometimes oversensitized protagonists who can suplex the heads off of enemies and survive an entire city's worth of opponents without even breaking a sweat. Not that that can't be fun, but it is nice to see developers try something new with the genre. All I can say is thank you to developers who are putting in an effort to creatively push the genre forward. You're really helping the game community see what potential the genre has. Anyways, there's none of the previously mentioned mindless destruction in DayZ. You're only capable of doing what you could realistically accomplish as an average citizen. It wouldn't be the same if you were playing as a SWAT member or Special Forces operative. Being able to relate to your character is a big part of what makes DayZ such a success, and this is heightened when you throw in the permanent death mechanic, making each death a true loss. And death is gonna find you. Or you'll find some kick-ass loot. Either way, you are exploring this world with little knowledge of what is possible and what the world might throw at you. Every area has the potential to reveal something new and exciting. Perhaps you break your legs falling off a cliff, or you encounter some geared players that harass you for their amusement, or you find a group willing to share supplies and help you on your way. The game starts with no obvious hook, but progressively gives you more to play with as you explore, all the while keeping the player on the edge of their seats, wondering what could be around the next corner. The game also plays off that classic loot grind that the gaming community seems to have a fondness for, but unlike other games, you aren't just looking for the next legendary weapon, you're looking for essential, life-sustaining food and water. You need these items to keep the character you've invested in moving forward, so the action, or even the prospect of raiding a building to find something useful, keeps the player engaged in searching. Think of it like a slot machine. Game Theory discusses this idea in their video on mobile game addiction. Slot machine play feeds bursts of dopamine, the hormone responsible for feelings of joy and fulfillment, to the brain, by supplying the player with a win every few losses. This keeps the player in the chair for as long as possible, slotting coin after coin to chase a high they didn't even realize they craved. DayZ feeds this craving as well, by providing the player with little valuable treasures as well as randomized loot. Every building is an exciting opportunity. You might be disappointed, or you might find that next crucial tool you've been searching for. This mechanic, common in games that promote exploration, rarely gets old. Unless it's overdone, making awesome gear a given every few minutes. Ugh, Diablo 3. I don't even have the words to describe how easy and disengaging that game is after having all those WoW mechanics too obviously phoned in. But I digress. All the different gameplay features that we've touched on are vital to the game, but one thing that really helped drive DayZ to its incredible success is the community. People who tried the Arma 2 mod and enjoyed it shared their exciting experiences with their friends, who tried it themselves and got hooked on a realistic take on the zombie apocalypse scenario. Without the vibrant community for the mod, the standalone game may not even come close to the level of success it's achieved today. There are servers full of great people sharing a world together. Even the bandits of the game are a positive aspect in many ways. It gives the player that much more to look out for. And hey, that's what a lot of players from PvP servers on World of Warcraft and the ones who like fighting in the RuneScape wilderness really find engaging. Encounters with bandits, as well as permanent death, drive the excitement and the will to survive in the harsh world of DayZ, creating a full, lush survival horror experience. Despite all the praise I give DayZ for its popularity, it's not free of some blaring issues. In the standalone's current alpha state, it's missing a lot of the features that the mod had, and it might be a while before it reaches the same level of depth. It also faces some issues with PvP, the most obvious of which is that once a player gets geared, they feel no reason to keep looting and just start deathmatching with other players to keep themselves interested. There are also no real cooperative aspects like there are in games like Rust or 7 Days to Die, apart from looting in groups and serial banditry. Regardless, DayZ is an intriguing experience overall, and though it's not for everyone, I can see the community growing as the developers continue to flesh out the world and the mechanics. I think that all about wraps it up. If you play DayZ yourself, why do you keep playing? And if you have anything else to add, have insight into what other factors you think contributed to the game's success, or why you disagree, feel free to voice your opinion. Hash it out in the comments, and if you like what you saw, please subscribe. If you've got a game you want discussed, leave a comment below and the most popular ideas will be brought up in future episodes. I'm Harrison Hutchin, and thanks again for watching. See you next time.